Hello, everyone, and welcome to the preview podcast here on the Lower League Look. My name is Sam, and once again, we are joined by Callum. Good afternoon, Callum.
Good afternoon. I've just realised I've left my bathroom door
Left your
open.
door
I've
open.
judged that. No one wants to see that, do they? That'll probably open its way halfway through. But no, good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this. And League One football to dive into.
Yeah, and to be honest, after the day I've had, I'm very much looking forward to talking some absolute bollocks, and especially criticising our one favourite man in all of football.
He's got himself into the headlines, hasn't he, again
Yes.
this week? He seems to have a habit of that, doesn't he?
So for about the fifth time this season, he is going to be in the title. Poor Steve. So this week's show, again, is going to follow a different concept. We've got a review of what mine and Cam's results were last week. We've then got to talk about Big Steve leaving Stevenage, a quick roundup of the 4 most important games from Tuesday, and then we've got the 12 League One fixtures for this weekend, and we're just going to talk a bit about every single game. There's some dead wooded games in there, but we're going to try and talk about a little bit about every single game. So let's get cracking. So last week, out of the 12 games, we got 4 games where we got a result or a correct outcome correct. And every one of us, both me and Callum, got the same games correct.
In our defence, I don't think there were, like, some of the scorelines, like who would have predicted 4-2 Exeter Port Vale, let alone who would have predicted the Wigan score, annoyingly. Fleetwood was probably impossible to predict, let alone Oxford and Burton Albion just somehow turning into 2009 Barcelona. Like,
it's a bit of carnage, wasn't it, last week? Just a bit of, if you're going to put a bet on, your bet's going to lose, regardless of. There's no way you'd have got it. So in terms of the results we got right, we got Barnsley versus Reading, we got a point for getting the correct outcome. Carlisle Blackpool, we got the correct outcome. Port Vale versus Exeter, we got the correct outcome. And Leyton Orient versus Derby, we both got the correct score. And that's it for this week. So the gap between us remains the same as last week, which I believe, I don't have it in front of me, I believe it was 2 points with 2 match days to go. So it's squeaky bum time. So we've got our own promotion race going on, which is probably the most important one, to be honest.
Yeah. Who cares about League One at this point? It's all about the Sam versus Callum prediction.
Oh, yes.
Battle, right?
Oh, yeah. So speaking of promotion races, Portsmouth, congratulations. We don't have to talk about you next year. You don't have to listen to us talk about your club next year.
5 years late. Congratulations.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's probably well-deserved. They beat Barnsley in the week, 3-2 through. It's probably some absolute scenes as well. An 89th minute winner against Barnsley, not only win promotion, but to win Sky Bet League One as well. So well done to Portsmouth. You have been the standout team this year, and it is fully deserved your league title. So well done, Portsmouth.
There was that little bit of the wobble, wasn't there, about January, February, where we're just like, are they going to Portsmouth this again? But to be fair to them, we kind of realised in March what their game plan was. It was be shit away from home, but still get 3 points, and then be really good at home. They've done that.
Yep.
So fair play.
Yeah, and when they've not played well, they've still managed to draw or win the games. Like they've drawn 8 games away from home, 1-12, but only lost the 2. And at home, they've only lost 2, but then they've converted some of them draws into wins. Mightily impressive. But considering they lost their star centre-half in Regan Poole earlier in the season as well. Some defences would have folded, but Sean Raggett has really stepped up. Then they signed a defender in January. He then got injured as well. So they've had their bumps in the road, and they've overturned everything. And to be honest, they're 8 points clear at the top. They've kind of battered everyone in this league, to be honest, this year.
Yeah, I mean, annoyingly, the fact that they're still they're only 2 wins away from what's it called? They're only 2 points. They're only 2 wins away from the 100 points tally. So that potentially gives them something to play for when they play Lincoln on the last day. It's slightly annoying, but can I just point out Lincoln technically have won promotion then. Regan Poole and Sean Raggett, both former fan favourites. So Lincoln in the championship yet again. Brilliant.
You had to get that in there, didn't you?
Yeah, love to see it. Thank you very much.
And for John Mousinho as well. For John Mousinho as well. I was very sceptical when he first took the job, because a first managerial job, having just literally stopped playing, is always a risk, but it's paid off absolutely.
There were a few hints, weren't there, at Oxford? Like his time at Oxford, when I think it was he player coach for a bit, player manager, and there were some signs that he was good. But to go to a team like Portsmouth, I think because there were no expectations on him, kind of made it a lot easier, and a lot of people were just thinking, okay, it's John Messina. They'll kind of fold halfway through the season. But because they were such because Messinio is kind of an underdog and quite subdued in the way he approaches a lot of things, I've kind of noticed. I think he kind of, I don't want to say caught everyone off guard, because a club the size of Portsmouth shouldn't be in this league at all. Like, I will make that explicitly clear on several occasions. Portsmouth should not be in this league, right?
Yeah.
Because Messinio himself isn't known as a manager that wins promotion. Hence, he wasn't even known as a manager, really, was he? So, fair play to him. He's kind of caught everyone off guard with how competent he is as a manager.
And he's had plan Bs as well. Like a lot of managers at our sort of level are very, very unpragmatic, shall we say, and they have a strict philosophy and they're not going away from it. But he's shown he's got a plan B. They can win ugly. They can win by absolutely playing you off the park. And it's a very, very good attribute to have as a young manager. And to be honest, their squad, I wouldn't say their squad is the strongest personally in the division either. But the way Messinio has coached them, it has been absolutely outstanding, and they fully deserve it.
That the one reinforcement that I will say, I don't think he goes down as signing of the season, because it's kind of, January transfers, can't really be. But Paddy Lane, that signing, okay, I don't know where he is in terms of like top goal scorers or assists off the top of my head, but I remember when he came in, he really hit the ground running, and that almost like reinvigorated the whole team, and kind of like he was that bridge while they were having that downward spiral, downward trending moment during January, February. He came in and really boosted them up. So, fair play. And I don't know, in terms of who's joining them, I think a win at the weekend for Derby County will
it does send them up. Yeah.
Does it officially send them up?
I believe so, yes.
If Bolton win, it means that they have to have like a 5-point goal swing on the last day, doesn't it, I think?
Yeah. So to me, if Derby win there, I think they're up, just because of the goal swing that's going to be needed. Although
in terms of games, I mean, we'll go over that. Cambridge away isn't really the game you want to celebrate promotion, is it? If I'm honest.
No.
But anyway, we'll come on to that.
Yeah, so obviously well done to Portsmouth with their last-minute promotion. So Barnsley, we're going to talk about Barnsley when we talk about their fixture for this weekend, because I've got some things to say about Barnsley.
Obviously, laughing?
Yes, it is laughing.
Okay, good.
We've got Lincoln City. They beat Oxford, which after Lincoln's disappointment last week was a pretty big result for them. Now the gap is back down to 2 points.
That was the most nerve-wracking game. I mean, that penalty kind of came out of nowhere. Mandroy obviously hatching it away. I think I saw someone commented on a Facebook post saying the maturity of Mandroy. I mean, he effectively, not confirmed, but he effectively got Mark Kennedy sacked. Effectively, his red card was the outward Mark Kennedy losing the dressing room kind of moment. The maturity of Danny Mandroy was really shown, especially in the last 5 games. A lot of Oxford fans a little bit nervous now, but I think the team that needs to be worried is Barnsley, and we'll get on to them, because Peterborough, there were a few worrying signs that they might bottle it, but they seem to be all right now. They're definitely in the playoffs.
It's a weird one for Peterborough, isn't it? Because obviously they got smacked 5-0 by Oxford on the 13th of April. I know football's not played like this, but if Peterborough had won that game, they'd be on 83 with a game in hand on Derby.
They'd have a much better goal difference as well.
And a much better goal difference. So they could have been that team that potentially upset everything and got into second place. But they can still do it because they've obviously got that game in hand, which is against Cheltenham on next Tuesday. So that's a big game for both teams.
The goal difference, their goal difference is 10 worse than Derby.
Yeah.
they need a 10-goal swing over 3 games and hope that Derby score on side. It's very unlikely.
Very unlikely. But stranger things have happened in football, especially, as we mentioned, I think last week, with Bristol Rovers scoring 7 on the final day. So then we had Port Vale. They're I think they're a bit doomed now, aren't they? They're 2 games. Well, I would say they're doomed, but Burton Albion as well. They lost to Cheltenham. So that whole relegation battle, Fleetwood, not mathematically, are down.
They're down. Just for argument's sake, goodbye.
So they are 6 points from safety, with 2 games left. So take that with you when they play Orient this weekend. Port Vale, they had that little spell, didn't they, where they won 2 games in a row, and you're thinking, oh, here comes Darren Moore and his little charge up the table, and then they've lost 3 in a row. They've conceded goals for fun. So they are 3 points from safety and no longer have that game in hand. Cheltenham Town still have that game in hand, but like we mentioned, play Peterborough. The bad news for Cheltenham was that game against Carlisle on the 9th of April that they lost. They are, even if they got a point in that game, that probably wouldn't have done any favours for them. They had to win that. They're 2 points from safety behind Burton. And then obviously Burton losing to Cheltenham last time out, especially after beating Stevenage in probably what was the most boring game of the season, even though they won, there was 3 goals in it. So if you're a Burton fan, are you more worried if you're a Burton fan or a Cheltenham fan is the question I've got.
So Burton have got Reading and Fleetwood. Fleetwood will be down by that point, and a Reading team that have got nothing to play for really, and Burton are at home for that game. So, and you compare it to Cheltenham, who have of course got obviously Lincoln at home this weekend. Then they welcome Peterborough.
Loss.
And then they travel to Stevenage.
Well, they could be then. They the way Stevenage
but in terms of I mean, technically Stevenage have got something to play for. Technically, for playoffs.
Needs a big old swing, that doesn't it? 6 points off, 12 goals
but,
off.
But 2 out of their 3 teams that they're playing have got something to play for, whereas Burton have got a team that will already be relegated and a team that will finish 17th. So, on paper, Burton Albion should do it, right?
Yeah.
But this is football, and this is Cheltenham Town. So take from that what you will as well.
Yeah, so speaking of Stevenage, as we mentioned, good old Steve Evans with the club. So he came into the club when they were 20th, I believe, in League Two. He stabilised them, as he does. Came second last year and obviously got promoted. And to be honest, has massively overachieved this season. Now, I mentioned this on Twitter the other day. Stevenage's form has been patchy for the last 2 months?
Yeah.
And we knew Rotherham were down about 2 months ago.
Those conversations
have them conversations started happening, and Evans has just gone, instead of coaching them to an inch and tactically preparing them to an inch of their life, just gone,
yeah,
I want to keep Stevenage in this league next year because I know they're not going to be as competitive when I bring a team like Rotherham into the league, who are always competitive. So has he taken his eye off the ball a little bit? Because I believe Stevenage have won 1 in like their last 10. I know it's a really controversial thing to say, but Steve Evans is a very controversial man, as we know. And stuff like that wouldn't surprise me with him. And I don't blame him for going back to Rotherham, because obviously Rotherham are a bigger club. They've got a bigger budget and have a so-called better squad. But they are going to need a massive clear out next year, Rotherham, because half of their team just look uninterested. And to be honest, their squad probably isn't even good enough at the moment for League One. I think the top of League One, your Boltons, your Peterboroughs, your Lincolns, I'd say Blackpools, are all going to be stronger than them next season.
Can I put on paper my hatred of the timing of this decision, please?
Yes, you can.
Like, why has he done this just before they play Oxford? Like, that is potentially. I mean, and we know it's an outside chance, but Stevenage had to win. Playoffs isn't impossible.
Hmm.
They've still got something to fight for this season, right? They had to beat Oxford to have a chance, granted, that, but their season's not finished. And purely from a selfish Lincoln point of view, that effectively hands Oxford 3 points, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
well, I'm going to throw a curveball in there. So Stevenage, Alex Ravella's managed Stevenage before, and obviously knows what these players are about. There could be a way in which this works for Stevenage in terms of it's a sort of a change in sort of guidance, and it could maybe give them a bit more freedom to go out and play. And the pressure, as we know, is now not on Stevenage, where the pressure is all on Oxford, and Oxford don't deal with pressure too well. As we proved in the Lincoln game, they lost to Lincoln.
Yeah.
The Peterborough game, they've got no pressure on, and they steamrolled you. They steamrolled Peterborough, and they're obviously going to beat Burton, and they're going to beat Fleetwood, and they convincingly beat them. I just think when the pressure's up, there's no pressure on Lincoln, really, I don't think, because
not anymore,
from where you've come from, there's pressure on Oxford. Blackpool are a team to watch because they play Barnsley this weekend. And I pointed out, so Barnsley have won 2 of their last 10 now in the race for the playoffs. They sit 4 points clear of Lincoln with 2 games left. Now, Barnsley this weekend have Blackpool. So let's say Blackpool win, and that is theoretically very possible with Blackpool's home form being absolutely exceptional this season and is one of the best in the league. Barnsley's last 2 games, obviously they play Blackpool and they play Northampton at home. Now, I know Northampton have nothing to play for, but they're no pushover, Northampton, I don't think, personally. I know they've not been in the best of form recently, but they're not a team you'd want to play going into your final game of the season. They've won 3 of their last 5, and they beat Derby 1-0 in that 5. So they're probably not a team you want to play. I wouldn't want to play them because they're going to try and finish in the top half, because the top half finish for Northampton is an excellent season. So we could see a scenario when none of us could have predicted this, where you have Lincoln and Blackpool finishing 5th and 6th, and then Barnsley and Oxford missing out.
Yeah. Oh, we could, like, if Blackpool beat Barnsley, they'd be on 73. Yeah. Lincoln would be on 74. Oxford could be on 73. So, and obviously Barnsley would be on 75. So we'd be going into the last game of the season, 75, 74, 73, 73. And which would be pretty epic.
It'd be epic, wouldn't it? And it's just a shame one of them isn't playing each other, because that'd make it even more epic. It's like I know it's the National League, but National League this weekend, Boreham Wood are playing Ebbsfleet, and it's basically loser goes down. I wish there was something like that.
But I think that's, you kind of got that with this, like with this. I think we should probably swap this weekend's fixtures for next weekend. I think with Oxford, Stevenage, and I'd love this weekend's fixtures to be swapped with next weekend.
Yeah,
completely. Because Portsmouth won't be on it as much this weekend as they will be next weekend.
No.
So could we start a petition to just swap the games around, please? That'd be grand.
Yeah, so it's going to be one of the, I'm not going to say most entertaining ends to the season, because knowing our luck, Barnsley will go and win and Oxford will go and win this weekend, and Lincoln will go and draw, and it'll be anticlimactic ever.
We have to say that it could be decided this weekend. Certain results, if certain results happen, if Oxford and Barnsley win and Lincoln drop points, that's it. It's decided. It's game over. So
we could theoretically be going into the end of the season with 4 teams battling for 2 places and 2 teams battling for 1 place at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or we could end up with nothing at the top, nothing in the middle, and nothing at the bottom. So next week's pod is either going to be really exciting or going to be like, shit, what are we going to talk about? There's nothing really to talk about. So for the love of the podcast, please Barnsley lose, Oxford lose, Blackpool and Lincoln win. Make it entertaining for us. And if Derby want to lose as well and Bolton win, yes,
Yeah.
please, carnage.
I think
Carnage would happen.
I think we'll still have something to talk about. I don't know if all of those things will happen, but I think we'll still have something on the lines. I think you have. I mean, quickly on Steve Evans, and before we have a look at all of next week's fixtures after a break, on Steve Evans. Granted, I hate the man. Right, I really don't think he's a nice person to talk to. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great interview. From a journalistic point of view, he's great. Love him. You make of him as a person what you will. I think he's interested technically, with his record at Boston United. I mean, he's certainly. This is my immediate thought: is if he tries to walk the streets of Lincoln ever, he's going to be carried out very quickly.
Yes.
And then just with his record with Boston United, and then this with Stevenage, he is not welcome in Lincoln anymore. Not. This isn't me threatening, by the way. This is me knowing what football fans are like. He is not going to be welcome in this city anymore.
I tell you where he will be welcome in Lincoln, though.
Go on.
The kebab shop.
The kebab, yeah. He will
be hung.
He will be hung from the spire of the cathedral by his coat by the 617 squadron if he's not careful. You have to give him credit. Sure, they're punching above their station. You have to give them some credit, but whether he'll do anything at Rotherham, I don't know. Does the club have the atmosphere for a Stevenage? You can imagine him doing something well because it's a very rare kind of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like a old geezer style football. Whether Rotherham will be able to do it,
he's obviously managed Rotherham before. And I'm not going to say or mention the game that he won promotion with Rotherham last time.
Who was that? Who was that against?
That is banned talk. That one
is it?
That's a sore subject.
Could you just give me two letters, 2 words?
Penalty shootout.
Who was it against?
No comment. So he obviously we know his track record of promotions, but the pressure will be on him at Rotherham to hit the ground running. The fans aren't going to be patient thereafter, especially after this season. One of the worst seasons in Championship history, I think.
Yeah.
So
going to be up there.
Hopefully you finish mid-table, Steve. And my thing on Stevenage, I said about 2 or 3 months ago, I can see Stevenage going down next year, with or without Steve. That may not happen. So
I mean, I this has no credibility whatsoever. I think it was just someone speculating. But when Mark Kennedy is the person someone has immediately thought of as appropriate for your club, please don't have high expectations.
I think I've thought of the perfect man for that Stevenage job if you want to continue from Steve Evans to your next manager.
Go on.
Gareth Ainsworth.
Yeah. Book it. Beautiful.
Dinosaur football.
Yeah. Could there be like a really shit League One version of Sean Dyche?
Dino Mamrio, he'd go back to Stevenage.
Put him there. That'd be great. Yeah. Do you know what? Talk about failing upwards. Put Dino in there.
Or Neil Harris. He might decide to jump ship after another 3 months at Millwall.
Oh, sod it, do it. It'd be fun.
Just go round. He has literally got a journeyman saving foot manager. He's just travelling the country managing clubs for 3 months before leaving.
Yeah. Oh, well. It'd be interesting. I will have half an eye on Rotherham next year purely just so I know when I'm going to get some decent quotes. So, Steve Evans, you do you, lad. You do you.
I always watch a Steve Evans interview after they lose because it's quite funny, to be honest.
Don't let anyone tell you who to blame, Steve. You blame that referee.
Yeah, get Howard Webb in your office and on the phone. So we'll quickly now go to our ad break, and then we'll go through the 12 games in Sky Bet League One this weekend. Okay, welcome back to part 2. So we've got the 12 games for this weekend. So we're just going to talk about all of them in a little bit of detail. So
why
the first
are they
one
in
is
such a weird... we've got... I guess, is Oxford Stevenage on TV?
I don't think so. And it wouldn't... Or if it is, they've obviously picked it because they thought, playoff game, and it's just...
It's just weird that it's at 8 o'clock on
it's on
Friday.
Sky Sports.
There we go. And then Northampton Exeter. What? Any reason that's at 2:00? I mean, I
Unless
don't
they've got
follow.
some
I don't
rugby in the
follow North.
evening.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
But it's
they've
at
done that before.
Northampton, so
And I think they may have some rugby there in Northampton.
I'll do some googling. I'll see if I can get there. We'll have to
So we've
wait and
got
see.
Stevenage versus Oxford on the big screen on Friday night at 8:00. The reverse fixture, Oxford actually tonked Stevenage 3-1, which is one of the rare occasions Stevenage actually conceded 3 goals this season, because mainly their losses are by a single goal. So you've got, at the moment, you've got a free scoring Oxford team who have scored 0, 5, 4, 4, and 1 in their last 5. And you've got Stevenage who have scored 1, 2, 0, 0, 0. So, but obviously with a fresh approach, I would say fresh approach for Alex Abreu, but he's managed them before, nearly got them relegated, stayed on as coach, and is now back in interim charge. So it's kind of like the full circle for him.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a bigger game, I think, for Oxford, just purely because we think Stevenage, regardless, it need a big turnaround from like 4 or 5 teams to get playoffs. And if Oxford do win, they can get into 5th place, which gives them a little bit of security.
I don't know. This is one of them that I think when it comes to predictions, as the team, as the person in this podcast whose team has something left to fight for this season and isn't just middling.
All the digs are coming out today.
Yeah. Don't care if you've had a long day at work. They are well and truly out. I would be shocked if Oxford didn't win. With Steve, with Steve Evans in charge, I'd have given it. I would have been nailed on 0-0. Like that, it had that written all over it, I think. But with him gone, I will still predict 0-0, purely hoping. But I would also put in asterisks that I'm predicting 2-0 Oxford.
Yeah, I just can't see Stevenage scoring personally. And the only person, if Stevenage do try to score, is going to be a set piece or something like that. It'll be Gianni or something. But I've gone for 2-0 to Oxford in this game.
Yeah.
And if Stevenage do score, it'll be a set piece. That's how I think it will go. Stevenage's playoff hopes will end. I will be happy. Oxford will then move up into 5th because predicting our next game, which is Blackpool versus Barnsley. Now, obviously, I mentioned Barnsley earlier with 2 wins in 10. Number one, it's not the form you want to be going into a playoff campaign with. You want all the momentum behind you going into the playoffs. The stats, as we know, and we've seemed to mention this every time with Barnsley, they are the biggest overachievers on expected points in the league. And stats eventually, regardless of how much quality you've got in your squad in Phillips, Cole, Cole hasn't scored for about 13 games now. Stats do eventually catch up with you. And it's at the worst time of the season possible for Barnsley that the stats are catching up with them. 2 wins in 10, like I've said. 4 points clear of 7th place Lincoln City. 2 points clear of Oxford United. And if Oxford do what we've predicted this weekend, well, I've predicted this weekend, they go above Barnsley. And I've got Blackpool to win this game as well. So they go into 73. And then obviously Lincoln, as we'll touch on a bit later on, obviously play as well. And I think they'll beat Cheltenham as well, which will give them 74. It's all got a bit tight for Barnsley. And
I think especially when it's not been confirmed for them, that's the big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, relax at the end of the season. I don't want to say like Peterborough are doing, because Peterborough either smash a team or get smashed. But when it's not confirmed, you want to still be doing good.
Yeah.
But they're not. Is the issue? I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if they didn't make it, by the way. I would be actively shocked if Barnsley didn't. They need 2 points from 6.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, I would be shocked. But like we always say, it's football, I suppose.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at their last 4 games. They had half the XG of Reading. They had less XG than Stevenage. They had more than Charlton, and obviously in their 3-2 loss to Peterborough the other night, they actually had more XG, but by 0.2. But the momentum graphs are very much in favour of the other team, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, a momentum graph, I'm going to try and explain. How can I explain this simply? It's a sustained pressure. So the higher the point is, the closer the team are to the penalty box, and it's kind of like the sustained pressure. So if it's flat line, it's usually on the halfway line, and then if it's more blue for Portsmouth, it's in Barnsley's half, sort of thing. That's how it kind of works.
We
So
point
I've
out
gone
in terms of form, last 6, Blackpool 8th. So again, they're about on average where they have been all season. Barnsley are 21st.
Let me guess the 3 teams below them.
I don't think we need
Vale,
to.
Fleetwood,
Port Vale,
and
yeah.
Carlisle.
No, actually,
Burton.
Carlisle are 14.
Oh, riveting heights.
Stop shitting on Carlisle, man. Yeah, Port Vale, Burton, and Fleetwood. The bottom
most
ones.
obvious ones.
Annoyingly,
Oh,
Lincoln are down to 4. So in the last 6, but still top for the last 12.
Oh, the stats bomb pawn tables are back, everyone.
Oh,
It took
brilliant.
31 minutes
So
to come out
31
with
minutes, and the soccerstats.com form table.
the
Still no sponsorship, guys, but we can wait.
Yeah.
But no, Blackpool will win this 2-0.
Okay, yeah, I've gone for 2-1. I can see Barnsley scoring, and it'll probably be Phillips, to be honest. He seems to score all their goals at the moment. He's trying to make up for his sending off in last year's playoff final, which I watched back the other day, and I still don't think it's a debatable red card, but it probably was a red card. So we've next got probably the most pointless game of the weekend in the grand scheme of things, in terms of, do the team need something from it? Actually, no, there's one more, 2 more. Yeah, there's a couple more. Is Northampton versus Exeter. 2 teams languishing in mid-table, preparing for next season. In terms of their seasons, I think well done to both of them. Northampton, well done, top half. Exeter City, from where you were top of the league, and then you've plummeted down the league to get back, to turn that around and get back into 13th place and having a pretty good season. Well done. I don't really have any more to say on them 2 teams, to be honest, other than well done.
I mean, I think whoever wins this get top half. I think, because obviously, I'd imagine Wickham, they've got their game in hand. Which game? Who's got that? That game in hand, obviously, against Cambridge. So you'd imagine they'd do something there.
Yeah.
So I think Wickham will get top half. So I think whoever wins this gets that top half spot. And I'll go with a Northampton Town 2-0. And you were right; it is for the rugby. The rugby is being played on TV, so they can't move the kickoff.
There we go. It's usually something to do with Northampton, and I've gone for a 1-1 draw in that game. I can see it being quite an end-to-end game, but lack of quality, especially with Exeter still averaging below a goal a game. The next game is Bolton Wanderers, who disappointingly drew in the week, versus Port Vale. Now, for Bolton, they kind of had to win on Tuesday night, realistically, against Shrewsbury. I've battered Shrewsbury all season. I've absolutely battered them.
Oh, I miss them days.
They've pulled out the bag, 2 goals, again away from home. And they led that game twice as well. It just seems to be the same old story of Bolton. They get nearly there, then think, I'm a bit too hot. I'm too high in the league. Let's just fall off again. But have they got one of the best 15, 16-man squads in the league? Yes, they do. I don't know if Ian Evatt is good enough to get them out the league, personally. And I hate to say this, if I'm Bolton Wanderers and I don't get promoted this year, Ian Evatt gets sacked or leaves, and there's one man you go and get to get you out of League One with the players you've got.
Go on.
Richie Wellens.
Yeah.
He's from Manchester area where Bolton is, so he'd move closer to home. He's got 2 promotions in. Well, to be fair to him, Doncaster wasn't his fault. That was just a mess. Salford, as we know, are just a mess as well with managers. So at the Swindon's ownership is a mess, but he won the league with them, and he won the league with us in his first full season. So he's got a track record if you give him a full season of getting clubs out of the league. His style of football is attractive as well, and is quite high pressing and attacking. And to me, that suits Bolton to a T. I hate to say it because obviously I want him to stay.
Yeah.
And try and get us out of the league. Because if he got us out of the league, I can build him a statue immediately, or do something.
We'll just say that'll be getting rid of Ian Evatt from Bolton. I didn't realise this. Just a quick search on him. He actually owns shares in Bolton.
Does he?
He owns. So he owns shares in Football Ventures Whites Limited, the company that owned Bolton Wanderers, making him one of the minority owners of the club
so
itself.
He'd sack himself. Oh,
so
God.
he'd technically be on the board that sacks himself, technically, which is quite funny. I know it'd be quite interesting. It's one of them. I think I'd say that even if Lincoln, Peterborough, say the playoffs is Lincoln, Peterborough, Barnsley, and Lincoln, or whatever, Bolton, or those 4. I still think Bolton go up.
Okay.
I think Bolton are favourites no matter who goes into the playoffs. But we have to wait and see. It'll be interesting either way.
Yeah, because I think whoever you get in the playoffs is going to be tough. But let's say Barnsley finish 5th, you're going to be one of the team that You're going to be the team that wants to finish 4th, really, because you're not going to want to play the team that comes in 6th, because they're going to have all that momentum behind them, realistically. It's just a shame Bolton didn't manage to beat Shrewsbury, because there'd be a point off Derby, and it'd make it quite entertaining.
Yeah.
But
I know. Hey, in terms of this game, I mean, this has 3-0 written all over it.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-0, but I'm trying to keep away from your score lines this week, just purely because I want to make this as interesting as possible, and I've gone for 4-0 Bolton. 4-0 Bolton.
Copycat.
So we're not having that this week. Next up on the list is Bristol Rovers versus Peterborough.
Yeah, interesting one. Bristol Rovers are just those teams that are just one of those teams that occasionally likes to shithouse, don't they?
Yeah, they've won their last 2, but against Cheltenham and Cambridge.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, they'll finish bottom half. I don't think they'll get into the top half. It's one of them. I will probably go with. I'll go with a 2-1 Peterborough. It's one of them. It's very difficult, I think. Very, very tough.
I've gone for 1-1 in that game, just purely because I think the physicality of Bristol Rovers and the way they play against sort of the inexperience of Peterborough, and especially we know Peterborough, especially hopefully for their sake, they've learned their lessons from last year in terms of dealing with pressure situations, but there's still that naivety, I think, in their squad.
Yeah, 100%.
And when you can play a physical team like Bristol Rovers, it can get to you and you can make a rash decision. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Next up is Burton Albion versus Reading. So as you've mentioned, Reading don't really have anything to play for now, sitting in 17th place on 50 points. Well done on staying up, Reading. With your 6-point deduction and all your off the field issues.
Is that official now? I think they still need 1 point.
They still need 1 point? They still need 1.
They're on 50 and they're on 50. Well, it's one of them that it'd take a huge goal swing, wouldn't it? But if they don't do it.
So Burton Albion, though, oh my God. I still can't work out how they beat Stevenage, to be honest. Did you? I don't know if you saw it. They went in front of their own fans at Stevenage, and they did the fist pumps again. It's mate, you are 20th in the league, and you're fist pumping. The fans hate you. If you go on Burton Albion Twitter, they don't like you.
Yeah.
And then you follow it up against Cheltenham. If you win, you're probably safe, to be honest, because it would rely on Cheltenham winning 2 of their last 3. You beat Cheltenham, you're not mathematically, but realistically, you're probably safe. And you butcher it. And
Burton are just
get them gone.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they need a I hate to say this because obviously being from Burton, technically, they need a relegation to wake themselves up.
Yeah, so
If that
it's all
makes
gone a bit down
sense.
here, isn't it? Since Nigel Clough sort of left. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank came in to think as his second spell, and you think, well, that's quite a good appointment. He's obviously got a good track record there. Didn't really work. Mamria comes in, and then I think they get smacked on the first game of the season, and they had a really good bit of form. And you're thinking, okay, I think some of the players are decent.
They're one of those teams that they've tried, like the Skabala experiment. They've tried it, but for them it went wrong in Marmria, and then the replacement they've got in wasn't stable enough to do anything.
No, it's made it even worse, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So in terms of, I can still, I don't know. Reading,
it's a difficult one.
It's a really difficult one because they haven't got anything to play for.
No.
But Burton, even though they do have something to play for,
shit,
are horrific. So I'll go with a 1-0 Reading.
1-0 Reading?
Yeah.
I've gone for 0-0. I just think Reading will come in and they're not the best away from home, Reading, and Burton are just garbage, so I've gone for 0-0. The next game is Cambridge United, who, again, 5 points. Their 2 wins in a row massively helped them out because their form, again, has been a bit dodgy, shall we say, under Gary Monk, as he tries to put his stamp on the team. They're playing Derby County, who, as we've mentioned, if Bolton fail to pick up 3 points against Port Vale and Peterborough fail to win in their game against Bristol Rovers, Derby County will be promoted with a victory. Cambridge, as we've said, 5 points clear of Cheltenham. Their squad, if you look at the 2 squads, this should be one of the easiest games to predict of the weekend.
Yeah, Derby should walk it 3-0.
Yeah.
We'll go 3. Why not? I really don't think it's one of them that the permutations are out there. I don't know if it needs much more discussion, does it?
No, not really.
It's 3-0. Derby will get the job done. And then the worry that I've kind of felt around Derby, I don't know if anyone else has, but there's been a lot. Like, this hasn't been a nice campaign for them.
No.
They've been in that second place for a while now, I feel like, but they've never been comfortable. It never feels like they've enjoyed their season at all.
No, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride, isn't it, for Derby? Like, they had that spell where they wanted Paul Warne out at the start of the season. And then they've kind of just... And they've done what I think we said earlier in the season. They've done what Paul Warne teams do. Second half of the season, they're very, very consistent and they just grind out results.
They got the job done.
They get the job done. So I've gone for 2-0 to Derby in this one.
Yeah, I said 3-0, but I'll stick with 3-0. It's one of them. They've done all right. They've got the job done. Well done, Derby, and welcome to the fuck off to the Championship.
I think the team next year. So realistically, next year we're not going to have to talk about Portsmouth or Derby.
Thank God.
But we're going to have to talk about Rotherham.
Oh shit!
And then whoever wants to come down with them, because who knows? And then we've got Stockport, Wrexham, and Mansfield definitely.
Oh yay! So at least we'll probably get a listenership increase with the welcome to Wrexham fans.
Yeah, and the Stockport fans. There's quite a lot of Stockport fans in the lower league network, so they're going to hate on us next year. I think purposely we should just piss off their fans.
What, Stockport? Okay,
yes.
Yeah, why not?
And Wrexham.
Stockport and Wrexham for no. I mean, I don't mind the welcome to Wrexham, so we'll get on to that.
No, it's quite a good documentary.
I don't mind it, but purely for the views, we're going to shit on you.
Yes.
For a whole season.
Yes, exactly. So the second most pointless game of the weekend, relegated Carlisle versus Wycombe Wanderers.
Do we have to talk about this one?
No.
Carlisle will win 1-0. Thank you.
Love I'll put that in. I've gone for 1-1.
Heart overhead.
Carlisle have actually been better in the last 10 games since they've been relegated than they were all season.
They've been incredible. Can we point out last 6 games? Where would they be? They would
14th,
be in the last. They'd be 14th in the last 6. The last 8, they'd be 19th. So, I just fair play to them. Like they, ever since they've been relegated, they'd have stayed up.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
well
Like
done, Carlisle United. What a trophy for you! What a trophy for you!
Mid-table after relegation.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
The next game then, again, probably a pretty pointless one. Charlton versus Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury is 6 points clear. I've battered them all season. I don't particularly want to batter them anymore. Paul Hurst has done the job he came in to do. He's kept them up. And to be fair, they're scoring a few more goals. So well done, Shrewsbury. And Charlton, I don't class Nathan Jones's first game in charge as a defeat because he was not in the dugout. So to me, he's still undefeated as Charlton manager.
You know when you say they're scoring a few more goals?
They scored 2 away from home.
They have still scored 3 less goals than Burton Albion.
Yes.
So they are
still their old manager for that, who I can't actually remember. Oh, Matt Taylor. I still can't work out how Matt Taylor even got that job, considering his spell at Walsall in League 2.
Yeah.
To be honest.
We'll go with I don't care. Do I have to give a score prediction? Fuck it. 1-0 Charlton. I don't care. I really do not care.
I've gone for 2-0 to Charlton in this one. So the game you probably want to talk about.
Woohoo!
Cheltenham Town versus Lincoln City.
Ironically, I don't want to talk about it because I'll just get it wrong. I mean, Lincoln. What we saw is Lincoln. It was fundamental Lincoln. They were, as soon as they became favourites for that playoff, they crumbled. Like they shat the bed a little bit against Reading and Wigan. I kind of got the sense that they were playing really tight.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't enjoying the football and the chances. I mean, even to an extent, we saw it against Oxford. There were chances that we were the second best team. Looking at the stats, looking at everything that happened, Lincoln were the second best team against Oxford, right? But that being the best team doesn't always win you matches. But we saw, there was chances for Freddie Draper, Joe Taylor. Those chances that we had should have won us the game easily. It shouldn't have come down to that penalty. Granted, okay, we still won, so I don't know what I'm complaining about. Take that forward to Cheltenham. It could go one of 2 ways. Cheltenham could show up and win, or Lincoln could do what. I forget what game it was. It wasn't too long ago when Lincoln
were free scoring.
They just brushed aside. I forget when it was, but they brushed aside a team that were in a similar Bristol Rovers. That was it. I mean, obviously not too similar, but a team that you'd expect Lincoln to win, and they won. Cambridge, for example, when they won 6-0, it could be a Cambridge United situation, from start of March where Lincoln just get on the score sheet early and brush aside a team that are worse, that aren't as good as them. I mean, we've got the only slight issue is left wing back, with Hackett deciding that his shoulder didn't like being in the right place. And because he dislocated it apparently, and then obviously Dylan Duffy decided he was the worst player on the pitch. By the way, on Tuesday he was shambolic. How we didn't concede a goal from that side of the pitch, beyond me. Which isn't, Dylan Duffy's had quite a few impressive games in the Lincoln shirt, but he came on as a substitute early in the first half. Wasn't that impressive, which I can't blame him. He wasn't expecting to probably come on until halfway through the second half, like he usually has been doing. And then got himself sent off. So, well done. I don't know. It's one of I could talk forever. I don't want to. So I'll go 2-0 Lincoln.
I've gone for 3-1 Lincoln. I think Cheltenham will actually be the first team to score, though.
Do you
Personally.
think?
And
Yeah.
I think that will fire up Lincoln to think, shit,
They
we
could
should
have,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
And talking
next
about
one
matches that have nothing riding on them.
Yeah, Leyton Orient versus Fleetwood Town. Fleetwood are. Well, to be
Down.
fair, I'm going to say something that may be controversial here.
Stop trying to give them praise so that when you lose, you look impressive. I'm not
So
having any.
let's say Burton, Cheltenham, and Port Vale lose, which we have predicted.
Yeah.
If Fleetwood beat us, if they do, they will go into the final game just needing to beat Burton and hoping Cheltenham don't get anything in their 2 games and Port Vale don't get anything in their game.
Yeah.
If Fleetwood then beat Burton, they stay up.
Yeah.
Just because their goal difference isn't
it's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, though. We've been co-hosts now for so long that I hate seeing Leyton Orient do well. So this result angers me, but you'll win 2-0.
Okay, I've actually gone for a 2-2 draw.
No, you haven't. Stop.
I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
Oh, there we go. The pessimist fan is back.
We are preparing ourselves for next year, so we are rotating players in and out like nobody's business. And I don't have a problem with that personally.
God, that smell of bullshit just got very strong, didn't it?
Basically, I'm not looking
at absolute honk of bullshit coming from your mouth. Dear me.
I'm going to stick with my 2-2 and I'm not going to change it.
Yeah. 2-2 for a result that's poo-poo.
I'm just saying, we lost to Fleetwood earlier in the season at their place, 1-0.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And what the fuck what does stats mean anymore?
So the final game, speaking of stats, is Portsmouth, the best team in the league, versus Wigan Athletic, safely in mid-table, and even with their points deduction added on, they would be 10th. I don't really have anything to add to the game because we've spoken about Portsmouth, and Wigan are just, hello, we're mid-table.
But Wigan are actually they're in somewhat decent form, aren't they? Wigan.
Portsmouth are all good. Yes.
Portsmouth. Did you see the remnants of Portsmouth, by the way? Absolutely. I mean, I'm all for one having a good time, but they basically trashed the fucking city.
They did, yeah.
Come on, people.
Their pitch invasion. Have you seen the overhead camera where they're all running from all 4 corners?
That's very impressive. Portsmouth will be on the piss up. 2-0 Portsmouth. Fuck it.
2-0 Portsmouth. I've gone. I'll put it in the wrong section. I was going to put my score where yours. There we go. I've gone for 1-1 draw. I think that will be. I don't think Portsmouth will lose because they are still professionals, but there's going to be that ounce of we've done it. We can't win the league. Yeah. We've won the league already. So
I mean, I know we've done predictions, but in as few words as possible, with no explanation, who are your 5th and 6th place teams and your 21st, 22nd, and 23rd teams?
So this is going to change from like 2 weeks ago, isn't it, when we did it?
Yeah, 100%. We don't need to stick to that anymore. Fuck it.
I will go with Blackpool in 6th, and I will go with Lincoln in 5th. I'm going to go with the most controversial ones.
Okay. I'll go Barnsley and Lincoln, 5th and 6th.
Cool. So we've both got Lincoln City in the playoffs.
Which means we'll definitely not get it.
Our end of season review with you and Seb could be fun if Lincoln and Barnsley are both in the playoffs.
It'd be fucking grand, wouldn't it?
I'll be the only one not in the playoffs because Jamie's also got Lincoln.
I'm going to support a shit team. And then 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, who are we going with?
Well, Fleetwood.
Well, you've just predicted Fleetwood to stay up.
I've given them a draw. They can't stay out with a draw. I've backed Cheltenham all season, and I'm still going to back them. Cheltenham 20th, and then Burton, Port Vale, Fleetwood.
I think it'll stay as it is. Cheltenham, Port Vale, Fleetwood.
I could see that as well.
I can see it. Granted, I can see all of them except any possibility that Fleetwood stay up.
If Fleetwood win now against us,
If Fleetwood
I'm
stay
gonna
up, yeah,
I'm gonna
I
clip
will.
this bit and release it.
If Fleetwood stay up, and I hope he's listening, I will personally travel to Fleetwood, which is a fuck long way from Lincoln, right? And I will go and visit my man Cod Vlogs, and I will buy him a cod and chips, and we will eat it on the seafront at Fleetwood.
I'm
And
holding you to that now.
I will actively. I don't know if he listens. I'm sure he does. How are you doing, Cod? I will buy you a fish and chips if you stay up.
I'm holding you to that, and I am gonna. If they do stay up, I'm clipping it and I'm gonna send it to Cod Vlogs.
Go at him on Twitter or whatever. You know, go let you know. But if they stay up, I will buy him a fish and chips.
On that bombshell, I think we will end this week's preview. Thank you, Callum, once again for joining me. And hopefully there is some entertainment in League One for next week. And hopefully we don't have the results all go against us. So whatever you're doing this weekend, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.